Welcome to Recaply X, your movie recap in a flash. The drama, the action, and the twists. The movie begins with a young man named John. John wakes up in the morning and decides not to go to school that day because he wants to play. He finds a message from his mother asking him to go out and buy food and hold supplies, but John ignores the message and sits at the computer to play with his friends. While playing, he tells his friends in the game to turn on the TV immediately and watch the news. John becomes curious and turns on the TV, where the news anchor is speaking, but suddenly the broadcast cuts off. John grabs his phone signal. He looks out the window and sees people running in panic, some attacking each other without any reason. He sees a girl biting her mother in a horrific scene. John is shocked and doesn't understand what's happening, and there's no rescue arriving. He then hears shouting in his building. When he looks through the peephole, he doesn't see anyone, so he decides to open the door. Suddenly, his neighbor barges in, saying that side have gone crazy. His brother attacked him at home, turning into a zombie and trying to kill him. Neighbor asks to stay with John for a while, but John refuses, suggesting he call the police instead. The neighbor calms down and uses John's bathroom before leaving. John agrees and lets him in. Meanwhile, the TV signal returns, announced that both the signal and communications are unstable and cities are in chaos due to a recently spread infection. Those infected turn into zombies, violent and feeding on human flesh. The anchor warns that anyone bitten by a zombie will also turn into one. Symptoms include bleeding from the eyes and severe pain before transformation. John his neighbor in the bathroom and decides a knife to protect himself. The neighbor comes out, covering a wound on his neck. John raises the knife, but the neighbor tries to, saying he's fine and just needs an hour to rest. John notices blood on the neighbor's hand and becomes scared. After, the neighbor's eyes begin to bleed, and he looks in the mirror in shock, screaming. He starts convulsing, his body contorting as he fully transforms into a zombie. He attacks John, trying to bite him, but John quickly pushes him out and stabs him in self-defense. John successfully locks himself inside. Looking hole, he sees a massive zombie attacking and devouring his neighbor. John is horrified and remains silent so the zombie won't hear. Blood from the neighbor seeps under the door, and John is overcome with fear. He moves a large fridge to block ensuring no one can enter his face, hoping it's all just a nightmare but realize it's real. He tries calling his sister. Network is down. He receives a message from her saying, "Don't worry about us. We're safe. Never open the door and your food lasts as long as possible. Take care of yourself and beware of the zombies everywhere." John looks at a photo of his family, hoping they stay safe. He checks his food supplies and there's very little left. He regrets not listening to his mother and going out to buy food. He sleeps on the couch, and the next day, the news reports that the infection, with many people turning into zombies. The anchor interviews a doctor who explains that zombies exhibit extreme violence and aggression. She advises everyone to stay cautious, secure their homes, stockpile enough food for 2 months, and avoid going outside until the situation becomes clearer. John sees people posting photos and messages online, pleading for help, army and police. He decides to do the same, taking a photo of himself holding a paper with his name and address, and uploads it online, asking for help. He sees someone stepping onto their balcony with a phone, trying to get a signal. The person succeeds, but loses balance and falls. Inspired by this, John uses a drone, attaching his phone to it. He connects the drone to his goggles, flying it high to find. The idea works, and he gets a weak signal. He calls his sister, but unfortunately, the drone's battery dies, and it crashes along with the phone. John falls into despair, sitting at his computer to play games to pass time, but the network disruptions prevent him from continuing. At night, he hears noises from out the window. Suddenly, a gunshot is fired in his direction from afar. A policewoman trying to kill zombies and escape. However, the zombies outnumber her, and she runs out of bullets. She tries to reload quickly, but doesn't succeed in killing the remaining zombies. They attack her, and she attempts to commit suicide but fails. Zombies knock her gun away and drag her across the ground. John witnesses this and wants to retrieve the gun for self-defense. Later, he hears loud banging on his apartment door. He grabs a bat, preparing himself. The banging causes the fridge to move, revealing a zombie behind it. John panics, trying to push the fridge back to block the zombie, but realizes it won't work. He runs to the balcony, pretending to jump. The zombie follows and jumps, falling to its death. John feels relieved and sees a large horde of zombies in the distance, including the policewoman who has now turned into one. He secures his apartment door with nails to prevent any further intrusions. John discovers that all his food fell out of the fridge during the struggle, leaving him disheartened as it was his only supply. He hears a woman screaming in the and records a video, saying, "This is my second day trapped at home. I don't know what to do. It's a miracle I'm still alive." After 7 days of the outbreak, John takes out his father's bottle of alcohol, drinking it out of desperation. There's nothing else to drink. He closes his entire balcony to prevent zombies from seeing him. Watching the news, he sees footage of zombies filling the streets. He eats instant noodles, but accidentally spills water while throwing the TV remote, wasting some of his limited supply. John becomes upset, realizing the water is cut off, and the little he has left is all that remains. He regrets spilling it, knowing he must conserve every drop, and he was forced to drink water from the ground. Yet, despite everything, he never left the house, even though he wanted to go out and get the policewoman's gun. When he turned on the TV, he found the same news over and over. The country couldn't find a solution. The broadcasters urged people to stay home. Days passed with nothing new. He started drinking his father's alcoholic beverages and kept dancing. Due to his drunkenness, he imagined his family entering the room. He saw his mother, he hugged her. Then he came back to his senses and realized it was a hallucination. He cried because of his state and felt dizzy due to the lack of water. Then he received a voice message from his mother and tried to find a signal to listen to it. He missed her terribly and wanted to check on her, so he climbed out of the window to get a signal and respond to her. The move worked, and his mother answered. She told him they were at his father's company. Unfortunately, zombies invaded the company where his mother and sister were. He heard their screams as zombies attacked and killed them. He cried over them, filled with rage. He started destroying the house, breaking the TV. He was mad and left his apartment. He killed the zombie outside, screaming in despair. He saw his neighbor on the ground eating a corpse. His neighbor began approaching him, and he yelled off. But John's loud voice attracted more zombies towards him. He ran quickly to get to the elevator, zombie inside. So he ran and hid, holding his breath to avoid being detected by the zombie. He sneaked back to his apartment. However, a blind zombie appeared behind him. John stood silent, letting the zombie pass by. When he returned to his apartment, the zombies heard him closing the door. They tried to break in, but he held onto the doorknob until he left. After 20 days, he had finished all the alcohol bottles. He saw power stations exploding. Electricity in his building went out. He lost hope, sinking. He tried to record a video, but couldn't speak a word due to his despair. He decided to end his life, tying a rope around his neck, surrendering to suicide. But suddenly, a laser light shone on him from the opposite building, pointing to the word, "No." John reconsidered himself. It turned out there was a woman living in the opposite building named Kim, who used the laser to stop him from committing suicide. She pointed to word on a board to communicate with him, asking him not to speak so the zombies wouldn't hear. They agreed to communicate through sign language. She scolded him for thinking about suicide. They planned to meet at the window at 7 a.m. the next day. John felt joy knowing someone else was alive. Kim's home was equipped with traps and weapons, and she had enough food. The morning, John woke up late for their meeting. When he looked for her, she was there. Kim spotted him and ensured the area was safe before coming out. She scolded him for being late, and they introduced themselves. Later, a zombie entered Kim's house. She agreed with to meet again at the window at 7 a.m. Returned to her house, where a zombie was caught in her trap. She killed it with a hammer. That night, it rained. John and Kim used the opportunity to put out cups and plates to collect her. The next morning, John met him at the window, visibly hungry. She understood and decided to send him food. She'd throwing a ball to establish a line between their buildings, but the plan fails. John used a drone he had, attaching a string to it, connecting their buildings. Kim sent a bag of food to John, making him very happy. However, a zombie grabbed the string in the street, pulling it hard, causing Kim to fall. The table holding the string dangled over the edge. The zombie climbed the string. Kim, unconscious, danger. John distracted the zombie with the drone. Many zombies tried to break into John's apartment. The climbing zombie grabbed the drone but was killed by Kim, who had sickness. The zombies below screamed at her. John wrapped his feet in tape to muffle his steps, avoiding detection. He apartment with a stick, finding his neighbor's corpse on the ground. He took the keys to his apartment, entering to gather food. He found a corpse in one of the rooms and 2 walkie-talkies. He checked if the corpse was alive or dead. Suddenly, a zombie attacked him from behind. John used the dead body as a shield and escaped back to his apartment safely. He enjoyed the food he had collected and sent them, along with a walkie-talkie, to Kim. The next day, they communicated through the walkie-talkies. John was happy to finally talk to someone. Kim thanked him for the food, but he told her she saved his life. Kim replied, "I didn't save your life. You wanted to live and found a reason to keep going because of me." John responded, "Anyway, without you, I would have died." They changed the subject, cooking together at the same time. They talked all day, getting to know each other better. Kim told him she was afraid of heights. John was surprised that someone who had cut off a zombie's hand could fear heights. Kim explained, "I don't consider them human, so it was eat off his hand." They both heard the sound of rain and were happy to collect water. It turns out that this wasn't the sound of rain. It was a large crowd of zombies running quickly and entering the building. Our 2 protagonists were lying on the ground, trying to make any noise, but Kim accidentally knocked over a table, making a sound that the zombies heard. They began approaching Kim's apartment. She became very anxious and informed John of the disaster she was in. Naturally, John decided to help her by calling the phone in another apartment in Kim's building. The zombies were detected by the sound and didn't break into Kim's apartment. Afterward, the 2 decided to leave, get to the street, and find a safe place. Kim believed there was a specific where the 8th floor was safe and had no zombies. She assured John of this, saying she had been observing that floor for several days and hadn't seen any zombies there. Kim decided to risk her life and go down first. She tied herself with a rope, jumped out of her window, and fought off any zombies that got in her way, using her weapons to eliminate them. Despite their large numbers, she managed to handle them. John was impressed by her. She managed to retrieve a gun from the ground, and just as a zombie was about to bite her, John intervened and saved her. He then joined her, fighting the zombies. The 2 teamed up, fought off the zombies, and ran into the building. They locked the door, but the glass wouldn't hold for long and the zombies were about to break through. Our heroes got into the elevator and were safe for a short time. They reached the 8th floor and inspected it, finding no trace of any zombies. They tried to open the doors of the apartments, but all were locked. Suddenly, they saw a zombie coming toward them, followed by a large horde seconds later. John managed to knock down a metal door in their path, delaying them and fighting them off, until Kim managed to open one of the apartments. A man pulled her inside, threw a smoke grenade, and called for John to come in. John entered, and they were safe. However, Kim was suspicious of the man, who he was. The man, named Sang, told her she should thank him. Kim was surprised to find a man living there, and said she had certain no one was on the 8th floor. Sang replied that he also thought he was the only one alive in the air. He offered them water, but Kim was still uneasy. When she saw him from the same water, she felt reassured and drank. Sang also offered them food, telling them to eat until the rescue team arrived. They were shocked and overjoyed to learn that a rescue team was coming. Explained that he had learned this from the television. John was so happy that he hugged Kim, feeling hopeful about surviving. However, minutes later, John lost consciousness. It turned out that Sang had drugged their food. Kim couldn't in time and also passed out. Sang dragged her into one room, tied her up and locked her inside. When Kim woke up, she found a zombie tied up next to her. Sang, outside, released the rope